Have I got this straight, XO? A 40 gigawatt computer tells you you're chasing an earthquake, but you don't believe it. You come up with this on your own?
Yes, sir.
Including all the movie space-time maps.
Sir, I got all
Relax,
the maps
Paul,
and
you
everything.
sold me. On getting into this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for The Hunt for Red October, 1990. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, not Ramius, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers.
Yes, I can finally do my Sean Connery impressions. Okay, here, let's try this one.
I present you the ballistic missile submarine Red October.
Also for this...
My officers and I request asylum.
Great. Also for this discussion of the film, The Hunt for Red October, we welcome aboard for the first time. He's an aeronautical engineer, Christian, and Twitch streamer for the God Mode activated community. Welcome aboard, Ken Cummings.
Permission to come aboard, sir?
Permission granted, Ken. As long as you don't mutiny. And now that you have a quick flyby or swim by, cruise by with boats, I'm not sure, of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for The Hunt for Red October?
Sure. The Hunt for Red October Sky came out in 1999, February 19th. It was directed by Joe Johnson.
October, Paul.
Oh, oh, The Hunt for Red...
Yes.
Yo, you actually want me... Oh, that movie.
Yeah,
okay.
that one.
Okay. The Hunt for Red October was released March 2nd, 1990, runs 2 hours and 15 minutes, and is rated PG. It was directed by John Die Hard McTiernan? Whatever.
Yep.
The director of Die Hard.
And Predator.
It was...
And other movies.
And Predator.
Yeah.
Yes. It was written by Larry Ferguson and Tom Clancy, who wrote the novel, with lead stars being Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, and Scott Glenn. The music was composed by Basil. Dang it. Basil. That too.
Polydorus is how I always pronounce
Polydorus. Okay. We'll go with your pronunciation of Basil instead of Basil.
That's the best you can do.
Your best? All right. Yes. You put it in dishes and dinners and stuff. Anyway, let's play the box office game. You ready for the box office game?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. The Hunt for Red October was made for $30 million. That includes the camera sinking into the sea.
Whoa,
anyways,
really?
it went on to earn over $200 million in the box office worldwide. Thank you, Mario. Given this and the fact that there are currently 5 Jack Ryan movies, how high do you think The Hunt for Red October ranks among the 5 Jack Ryan movies released in the box office and not counting inflation?
Okay. So we're going to do a little game later that goes into the names of the movies. So no one name the movie. Just what is your idea for of the 5? How high does Hunt for October rank? Let's start with Ken.
1.
All right. In chat, we have Dale says 3. Bobo says 2. I'm actually going to go down to 4 because of the whole inflation thing. Paul, what is the answer?
It's actually number 2.
Really? Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. So don't name the top one because, again, we're going to get into those later. But awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alice?
Alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
The Russian disappeared. Invisible.
This thing could park a couple of 100 warheads off Washington and New York.
Stolen.
He's defecting. The Russians know this, which is why they've been trying to sink him for the past 2 days.
The hunt is on.
Now you want us to help you hunt him down and kill him?
Battle stations.
Give the man a
director of Die Hard.
Torpedo is an acquisition.
From the best-selling novel by Tom Clancy,
We sail into history.
The Hunt for Red October, March 2nd.
Yes, we sail into history, but our memories are also part of our own unique histories, and let's see how they melded together to give us a synopsis for The Hunt for Red October. Alec Baldwin has to figure out why a Russian submarine went missing. James Bond and Dr. Grant are Russians and helm the missing sub Red October. In particular, Dr. Grant wants to move to Montana, probably to start his paleontology career. In the end, the submarine battle was meh, and it was quite tranquil, in the sub sailing into an American waterway in the blue light of the moon. But if you want to know who the saboteur was, it was the cook in the nuke with a revolver. Was any of that wrong?
It was quite tranquil in the sub sailing. They were kind of outside the sub.
Oh, good. And also, Dr. Grant didn't want to move to Montana to do a paleontology career. So yeah, totally incepted.
And I was so bummed it didn't turn out to be James Bond after all.
So, based on those memories, as so flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this movie before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Ken. What was your prediction for The Hunt for Red October?
Classic.
Classic. Awesome. Paul, and was this your first time watching this movie?
This was. I had never seen it before now. And I originally predicted nostalgic, but then right away, I remember every time this ever comes up in conversation, people only had positive things to say about it. So
okay.
I changed my prediction to a classic just to...
So people raised the bar for you. That's great. All right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true, though.
Wait, what did you predict?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said classic. I predicted classic.
Okay.
That goes without saying. Because it's not a Disney movie, so I mean, immediately it scales to the top. It'll be interesting to see if those predictions.
Disney doesn't own it by now. Come on.
Paramount? No, Paramount doesn't. Viacom, NBC maybe does. Anyway, it'll be interesting. I don't hate Disney. I know where you get that from. It'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we like most about The Hunt for Red October. Let's spin a Bauer.
Best three.
And let's start as we'd like to with our guest. Ken, what is one thing you liked about this film?
I like submarine movies.
Okay.
Whenever I see these movies, I always think of Run Silent, Run Deep. And that's why I love the submarine cat and mouse type of thing.
I very much like Crimson Tide is another submarine movie that is at the top of my list. And I know the movie Paul hasn't seen, I don't think.
No, but without giving anything away as far as my final
rating
outcome, my final rating, after watching this, I wanted to go out and watch Periscope.
Wow.
Because it has that cat and mouse game.
Yeah,
in
it does.
The submarines.
It does.
Yeah.
Fast Food is a classic. Could be even Operation Petticoat.
I've seen most of Das Boot. I got so bored though. So bored.
Because it's slow and boring?
Yeah, but I mean, you can shake your head all you want at me, Ken, but still, it was... But I haven't seen any like Run Silent, Run Deep. I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it. So would you suggest for someone, let's say, well, you like submarine movies. We'll just leave it at that. We'll go into other movies later on. But you like the cat and mouse aspect of it. Paul, was there something about the suspense of that you enjoyed about this film, or was there something else that made your like list?
Yeah, I like the shots of the submarines going by. They looked real. I know I watched the behind the scenes afterwards.
Oh, cool.
That they were miniatures.
Yeah.
But I like the close angles that they got. It made it dramatic. That helped the tension and the drama. So I really liked the shots that they were able to get with it. I wasn't expecting that from a 90s movie.
Oh, totally. Know what else helped with the tension and drama? The amazing score. I mean, mostly the theme, but oh man. So this, for those that don't know, Basil Polidoris is my favorite composer. I mean, he is really my favorite. Yeah.
Whoa. Don't let John Billiams hear that.
He's your favorite composer?
Yeah,
What else has he done?
So many. He's done RoboCop,
Summer
Conan,
Lovers.
the 2 Conan movies. What was it?
Summer Lovers.
I haven't seen that movie, so
I
I
do.
can't
I
comment
love
on
the
movies
score.
I have.
I love the score. A classic Chicago song came from that soundtrack too.
But also Starship. That's okay. Starship Troopers is another one I've seen. He did Red. The only movie I haven't liked his score of the ones I've seen that he's done is Red Dawn. He's also done Free Willy, but I don't remember that score much at all.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's all I remember. The Michael Jackson song. But yeah, so he is my favorite. I love pretty much most all of his music. So anyway, I loved what he did for Red October. Very iconic. Love the choir, and yeah, it was great. Let's go back to Ken. What's something else you enjoyed? Was it the music? Was it something else?
Is the score, okay?
Yes.
When I listened to the score and I had to go find out who did this music, I go, oh, Basil, whatever, okay? And I'm like, I go, wait, this seems so familiar. I Wikipedia, Summer Lovers, of course. That was the album. I remember seeing that movie, and it was like great score, even though it's not really a great movie, but the score was cool. Okay, I love the music. Okay. But then the other ones, I've seen some of the other movies, but the score I liked. You know, I have something against the score too, which would be part of my
interesting
dislikes. Okay, but yeah,
totally get that. Yeah. But overall, the music was something you liked. Very cool. Yeah. Paul, what was something you enjoyed?
I enjoyed the intensity, how intense things got, especially while they were doing one of their turns, and then they were talking about in the middle of that, they were discussing, what would you do in America? And the music, what you guys were talking about, just really amplifies that whole scene. It just all that combined just really adds to and there are several moments of intensity that I enjoyed through this film.
Awesome. You know what? And that sort of goes into the next thing I liked, Paul, which was this movie certainly starts out as a slow burn. There's a lot of setup to it, which almost made my dislike list. There's like lots of I feel like there's lots of moving parts. There's this character has to talk to this character, and then there's a lot of characters on the opposing on the Russian side and the United Statesian side, and there's a lot of like submarine lingo you're having to sort of get acquainted with, but it all sort of crescendos really well as you get to the end. Things ramp up, things get more intense, and I never felt lost because of all that setup. It felt like very paid off. Everything you invested into the early part of that film, I felt like, as opposed to, what was that movie where the last half of Jurassic Park? No, Jurassic Park, where the first half is like, why do we need this? Just get me the T-Rex. Now it all felt like it was important, and you needed it to enjoy the rest. I guess you could say the same for Jurassic Park, but
okay, this had a lot more technical babble than Jurassic Park did.
Fine. But that's another thing that I liked. But now let's get into our classic makers, the things we loved most about The Hunt for Red October. I'm gonna start with Paul this time.
So the best thing about this film for me, watching it the first time, was the cast. There were so many recognizable actors in it. And not just the main parts, but the minor parts. I mean, I loved to see Tim Curry in this.
Yes.
And there was even the Dean Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off in there.
Yeah. Jeff Jones, I want to say is his
Jeffrey
name?
Jones, yes.
Jeffrey Jones and James Earl Jones and so many of, but everybody brought their A game almost, pretty much. So it was really fun to see that.
Awesome. Catherine, were the characters your classic maker by any chance?
You guys treat your guests by stealing their classic makers?
Yes, every time. Everything you like, we like. It's how it works.
Sean Connery, Sam Neill, Tim Curry, not well used, but still there. Scott Glenn, James Earl Jones, Courtney Vance, Jeffrey Jones. Loved the fact that he was a good guy and not the idiot you always see in other movies. Yeah, Josh Acklin, old at the time, playing the Soviet ambassador. Fred Thompson and others. Yeah, it was a classic because of those. And I think they did decently. It wasn't like they were they might have been put in there just because it's a name, but it was the classic. The cast was Classic Maker,
and like Gates McFadden, guys, she's great.
Yes. So I thought we were on the holodeck of the starship at the beginning. I'm like, okay, there's the guy from Beetlejuice, and then there's Dr. Crusher. They're in this they're in the hologram together, but apparently that wasn't true.
You notice though, I did not say Alec Baldwin.
Ah,
I mean, he's okay and all, but
well, we might have some words later about that. But I do want to just mention, in case people are like, "Whoa, Gates McFadden, Dr. Crusher was in this movie." Yeah, she's only in for a few minutes because she agreed
less than that.
do this. Yeah, like a few seconds. She agreed to do this film because she was promised that in the next movie, she would get a bigger role. Of course, there's a recasting of Jack Ryan, so they decided to just recast her role also.
Yeah.
So that's why you didn't see her in any of the subsequent movies. But you know what, Ken, you're in good company because Paul also stole my Classic Maker, and ipso facto, you stole my Classic Maker too. But I felt like every character in this, almost every character, there's one that I'll mention.
Was it the cook?
Hold on. Every character seemed fleshed out, authentic. Even if they had minor parts, I thought they were just so interesting. And I feel like everyone gave a lot of thought to their characterizations of all the crew of the October, the Dallas, the aircraft carrier Enterprise. I forget who the real bad guy Russian sub was. That was played by Stellan Skarsgård, which is so cool to hear. I was like, oh my gosh, Stellan Skarsgård.
But so poorly used that you didn't get a chance to get to see him.
Yeah,
well,
but
what do you know him from?
Oh, let's see. He's in Thor. He's the main scientist in Thor.
He's Chris Hemsworth?
Is Thor a scientist? No,
Loki.
He's the guy that.
The guy that walks around naked.
With. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, was it Thor 2? Did you say? Did I miss?
Yeah. He's in both Thor 1 and 2.
Okay. So yeah, that's another one of his other movies that you probably have seen him in. Anyway,
Good Will Hunting.
I've seen that once. I don't remember him from that. But regardless,
hey, how about them apples?
Regardless, I do want to actually spotlight Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery. I really enjoyed how you could see the tactical wheels turning in Sean Connery's head or from his expression. And I felt like you could really see the analytical wheels turning from Alec Baldwin's performance. So I like both of them. Apparently not all of us did, but I really enjoyed both of them in their roles. But that sort of rounds out our Classic Makers. We can finally get into the next thing. Oh,
I have a runner-up of a like.
Okay. Yeah.
So when they were running in the sub, they were all speaking Russian, and the guy pulls out. He starts reading. I don't know if it might have been Revelations or not, right? But also referencing Oppenheimer. I know Oppenheimer. Yeah. He runs across the word Armageddon. Mm-hmm. It goes into his mouth, Armageddon, and comes out speaking English. Because Armageddon is the same word in Russian and English, apparently. I saw that. I like that part, how they transitioned from the Russian to the English. That was a minor little thing.
Yeah, and I can't think of any other movies that do it that way. I think that was most movies I think either try to just go, well, we'll just do the whole language all the way through. But I mean, I felt like that was a nice shorthand, and it makes it for a more enjoyable, especially with all this techno-babble we talked about, more enjoyable to just have it be English since it's a United States movie.
Well, it's like when I was in Moscow visiting one time, the word perpendicular came up, and they go, yeah, it's a Russian word. I go, what? Wait, no, it's not a Russian word. We say the same word in English. It's not Russian or English, but still, it's like the Russians love to say it's theirs.
That's funny. That makes me think of, I think Drew Dodgen brought this up on our Star Trek 6 episode, where there's the Klingons said that Shakespeare was Klingon, and he said it was actually a commentary on the Russians who would do the same thing, since the Russians were sort of a holdover for, or the Klingons were a holdover for Russians. But regardless, that is an interesting intersection you just made in my head, Ken. So thank you. But I had a runner-up too of something I liked.
Wait, did you forget one thing, or did you forget one
ping? One ping only, please. Yes, TOS. Speaking of Star Trek, he loves Star Trek, but he hates bad Star Trek. Matt McKinney, joined by off-screen Kim and occasionally Drewbacks, the sociopathic Talaxian, take on Star Trek, Smallville, and whatever other shows might appear in his field of vision. You can find TOS on YouTube. Just search under that title or at www.pos-tos.com.
That's great. I understand what that has to do with Star Trek because we were just talking about that. But
Sure.
What does that have to do with the Hunt for Red October?
You mean you don't think that I knew Star Trek 6 was going to come up somehow and I could tie it in just perfectly?
Yeah. I see you spinning your wheels now.
No, well, it's Star Trek. You'll notice that a lot of the sort of the ways people think about large spacefaring travel or battle is based on nautical the way we think about nautical ships. Even though I actually read something about that was talking about like Battlestar Galactica. Why does it seem very much like ship battles, where in space with like space tech you wouldn't actually fight battles the same way as you do over sea, but it's still, I mean, it's a cool visual anyway for us as terrestrial.
I'm sorry, I stopped paying attention a while back ago.
See, okay, then just say it ties in perfectly, Francisco.
Okay, fine.
It ties in very well.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. And what else ties into this well? Some trivia about Hunt for October. How about that?
Sure.
So from what I could gather, it was very dodgy, but what I could gather from a couple different sources, the reason Alec Baldwin didn't go on to play Jack Ryan, because he's actually the first Jack Ryan. At first I was like, why did they go from another character, I'll say, to Alec Baldwin? That seemed really weird. But it turns out he was the first Jack Ryan. And the reason he didn't go on in at least, well, I'll say this one, Patriot Games, is because it had to do with his paycheck, the other actor's paycheck, and studio politics. But it makes me wonder, how many actors and their respective titles can you name in the Jack Ryan franchise? So here's how we're going to play. Ken, you'll start by saying an actor, any of the actors who have played Jack Ryan that you can recall. Paul will then guess the title of the film associated with that actor. If like Ken, you say an actor that's actually Jack Ryan and Paul guesses the movie that Jack Ryan is tied to, then you both get a point. If Paul doesn't guess right, and Ken, you can also say the movie, you'll get like 2 points. And then once we've figured out those points, we'll switch. Paul will say the actor, and then Ken gets a chance to guess the movie. And we'll see who gets the most points out of the... Let's see. So far I've named 2 movies, but that movie can still be in contention. Actually, let's put that movie out because one of the actors goes to 2 movies. So Patriot Games is out. Hunt for October is out. Do you both understand how this works, or do you need...
Yeah,
okay.
It's unfortunately, this is the only Jack Ryan movie I've seen.
Whoa, well, you might be able to figure it out. Sometimes...
Yeah, I've seen previews.
There you go. So, Ken, why don't you start? Name a Jack Ryan film.
Oh, we don't name an actor.
Not film.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. All right. So Harrison Ford. Paul, can you guess?
Is that Clear and Present Danger?
Good job. You both get a point. Fantastic.
All right.
That's all I know.
All right. So
I can't remember any other Jack Ryan movies. I know that.
Well,
right.
Don't name any others.
All right. Is it my turn to name an actor?
Yeah. Paul names actor. We'll just do your best.
It's Captain Kirk. Dang it. I'm blanking on his name. The new guy. Yes, thank you, Chris Pine.
Don't give him the point, Ken. You could have gone using him.
He was Jack Ryan?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the title at all?
Nope, I don't.
Okay,
I don't
know?
either.
All right. Francisco gets the point, apparently, as Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit.
Shadow Recruit, that's it.
Yeah. I'll give myself a point there. Okay, Ken, can you name another actor?
Well, we're not talking about TV shows, right? John Krasinski.
You could?
Yes,
yeah.
in the Jack Ryan TV series on Amazon.
Okay.
Jack Ryan.
All right. Good job, guys.
Is the title.
Yeah.
I knew that one. Thank you, Kenneth.
All right. So that leaves Paul with one other actor who's played Jack Ryan. This is one that I don't think anyone equates with Jack Ryan and Tom Clancy.
Interesting to note, the director wanted to originally get Kevin Costner to play it, but he was too busy with his Buffalo movie.
But then he went on to be in Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So what's funny, I had read that when Patriot Games came up, Alex wanted more money, and they said, "Well, that kind of money, we can hire Harrison Ford."
Yeah,
which they did.
Yeah.
But so that was
So
one take. I read some other takes, so yeah, that's why I said it's hard to know who's being fully truthful.
I will say Quigley Down Under.
Okay, no, not Tom Selleck. All right, you both. So let's see, with 2 points apiece, you both. Unless Ken, you want to try to take a stab at who the actor? Okay, with 2 points apiece, you both tie. Good job.
Yay! Good job, Kenneth.
The one you didn't get was Ben Affleck, who is Jack Ryan in The Sum of All Fears.
That's right.
Oh.
Which I've never seen. Have either of you seen that movie?
No, but I saw the preview.
Good. Bully to you.
I don't know if you saw the other trivia, like what ties Harrison Ford to this movie.
Oh, like
Jack Ryan.
He is in Working Girl with Alec Baldwin. Was that? Then I don't know what. Sean Connery.
Apparently, 3 years after this movie, Harrison Ford was offered the role of Dr. Grant, but he turned it down, and Sam Neill picked it up. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, so Spielberg went there first, which I get. Okay.
Well, thank you for playing that game, guys. I had fun.
Great trivia, Francisco. And I have the answer to our last audience question, which again was, what Disney, which Disney animated film that we have not reviewed would you like us to review next?
So Dustin Warford was the only person who gave us a response to this. So you
good job.
Start
Dustin.
your win streak anew because you missed it last time. Thanks to this guy, Kenneth, who won it. But let's see. His answer was, I would love to hear a review of Sleeping Beauty, one of the OG princess movies. Smiley face. I also would love to help review it. Hint, hint. Well, we'll see. Gotta be on Discord for that type of stuff. Also, he wanted to make a correction. He doesn't like his Cajun curl on eggs. He likes them on potatoes. So sorry, Dustin, that I got that wrong.
Wow. All right. So now here is this episode's listener question.
Oh, okay.
Besides The Hunt for Red October, name another movie that has a nautical setting which you would like us to review on the podcast. Which I think we covered earlier, so you may want to re-listen.
Exactly.
Another review of an old movie. How about Run Silent, Run Deep? Just kidding.
There you go. Well, I mean, that'd be fine. A patron would have to pick it, I think, because Paul, have you seen that?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay.
Clark Gable, Burt Lancaster, 1950-something.
I've never even heard of those people.
Oh,
no, I'm joking.
Gosh, Paul. Go back to your wonderful life. How about that? Let's see.
I was about to say, is Father Goose?
What?
No, that's not they're stranded on an island, but I thought they got there by submarine. Never mind.
Okay. I didn't say submarine, by the way. Just keep in mind, it doesn't have.
Oh, just nautical.
Yeah. So,
okay. Little Mermaid. Oh, wait.
Anyway, send your answers to trivia@retrorewindpodcast.com by the time we record the next episode, which gives you usually a week and a couple days by the time you hear this, if you're listening to this on the day it releases. But now that we have all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about The Hunt for Red October. Philip Hurd says, solid film. I loved it back when it came out. I think it holds up well and is one of the best Cold War films I've seen.
David Garner says, I know this book. Your conclusions were all wrong.
And you're Sean Connery, Paul. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I know this book. Your conclusions were all wrong. He goes on to say, my dad and I still quote that line. Nice. I have a question, David. Do you quote it as Sean Connery?
Ooh,
anyway.
Good question. Reinhard Jackson says, first time I saw this movie, I was sick and laid on the couch all day. Great time for movies, indeed.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
Drew Dawkins and Patrick Edwards both quoted, "One ping only." Patrick also added, "The emergency surfacing was awesome. Went on a tour of the sub that they used for that shot when it was at the Oregon Science Museum. Kept waiting for Connery to reveal he was secretly James Bond undercover." Yeah, me too.
I've been to the Oregon Science Museum. I believe that sub is still there. So I didn't get to go in it this last time we went, and then COVID happened, so haven't been able to go back since, but I think it's still there. Wardale White says there's been only 2 movies that my dad took me and my 3 brothers to: Rocky IV and The Hunt for Red October. I remember seeing
movies.
Well, I've only seen part of Rocky IV, but yes, I think so. I remember seeing bookstores with board games similar to Axis and Allies, but for the movie itself, it was great. I don't know how you miss a submarine, but looking for it made for a great movie. Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin were great. Great to see actors like James Earl Jones, Scott Glenn, and Tim Curry in the movie. It was an awesome time at the movies. Geez, did you just take our Classic Makers, Dale?
Everyone agrees.
Apparently.
Reed Benson says Sean Connery was never good at any accent except his own.
Yeah.
Alex Baldwin isn't Harrison Ford, but a 2-hour and 15-minute movie adapting a 387-page novel. I think it followed pretty well.
Awesome. B.L. Gillespie, Ben, I know him. One of my. Okay, he put a question mark at the end, but then he corrected it. He meant an exclamation point. One of my favorite movies.
All right. Garrett.Clay at Smart Every Day.
He's talking about at Smart Every Day.
Oh. Garrett Clay says that at Smart Every Day just did a U.S. nuclear attack submarine video, and a photo of Sean was posted in it. I wonder what percentage of the submarine crew haven't seen this movie.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting little survey. Let's see. Joe Rowe Y put a little joke that I'm gonna unblue a bit. He says a lot of sailors. He didn't use the word sailors in a pressurized tube.
Yeah. Applesauce Photography 2018 says great action film. Thumbs up. You should check out Applesauce Photography.
Oh, why is that, Paul?
Great photos.
He does actually make great photos, and I won't say more. You'll figure it out if you go check him out. But yes, and then finally, Dirty Steve 40. You sunk my battleship. I'm more of an Under Siege nautical action movie guy. All right. And, Dirty Steve's comment leads us into the things we like better about Under Siege, a.k.a. what we didn't like about The Hunt for October. So it's time for our... Worst three.
Things liable to get a little dicey around here.
Probably. Let's start with Kenneth again. What is something you didn't like about The Hunt for Red October?
Oh, the non-existent Russian accents.
That bothered you that much?
Which is fine. Not really. It was just one of my dislikes. It was noticeable having seen other movies where people do have Russian accents. I'm like, again, it wasn't a big deal, but it was one of my dislikes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I had heard. I said I didn't hear any negative things. That's not true. I heard that people didn't like Sean Connery's Russian accent when he did speak Russian, and that he didn't follow through with speaking Russian the whole way. And I see that. When I saw it, I thought his Russian was great. And I thought it would have been great for the whole Russian cast to speak Russian. That way, when they finally spoke English, you could tell, well, is he speaking Russian or English there, after that one sentence. So, yeah, I could see that.
Okay, that's fair. But you know what? It's similar to you, Kenneth, and I had one that's actually related to the whole language thing. At first, I'm like, what? No way. It's like a much bigger dislike. Then it sort of resolved a little bit. But it's when, when they're both the Dallas and the Red October are up and they're flashing, they're looking through each other's periscopes at each other. And what's the
Morse
captain?
code?
Yeah, the Morse code. I'm just trying to think of what the captain, Scott Glenn's character was. What was your name again? Bart Mancuso, Captain Mancuso. he's Morse coding over there. I'm like, wait, is Morse code a universal language or something? I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's not. And so I'm like, okay, if it's not one, we're just believing that somehow this Russian guy not only knows English, but knows English Morse code. I'm like,
well, yeah, because we heard him speak English. That's why they're defecting, because they're all speaking English.
Oh my gosh, Paul, that's not actually English. It's an
I'm not a
illusion.
sailor, but is there like some kind of nautical language? Because SOS is a common, and maybe there's some things that were, but you're right. There's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
And he did say his Morse code was rusty, so maybe it was actually he did it wrong, and it translated to Russian what he wanted to say.
Well, he said that. He said, I just told him.
Gave him dimensions for Playmate of the Month or something, which was a funny joke. But I think it makes sense later when we find out Sean Connery's character, Captain Ramius, actually knows English. I was like, okay, then I guess it's possible he knows English Morse, but that still seems a bit beyond the pale. So that is just one of my dislikes. But again, it wasn't that big. Paul, did you have a dislike that wasn't that big, or are all yours like major?
Well, I said I liked the shots of the submarines. I did not like whenever they shot those things out.
Countermeasures?
The quote unquote countermeasures that look like pills that were like turned into Alka-Seltzer to stop the torpedoes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, watching this in HD now, it looks like it's animated and it doesn't look like it belongs there, so it takes you out of the film. I mean, right during this dramatic part, you're like, really?
You're not like saying, oh, they would never have things like that, because I'm pretty sure they do have things like that. You're just saying
they do, but they can't film that actually happening because they're not actually underwater. In real life, so they had to animate that in.
They should have called up ILM for something like that, because it seems like that wouldn't be hard to. What?
The ILM was the ones who did the underwater scenes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, wow. Well, then ILM need to call up the Star Wars ILM crew and say, hey, get a plate shot of actual countermeasures, and then we'll superimpose that in. No, we'll animate. Oh, fine.
It's cheaper.
I guess I really hadn't noticed the CGI or the special effects being that bad.
No, yeah. I think like the countermeasures were the only thing that sort of stood out to me as like, you look like an effect. You don't look like you belong. The torpedoes I thought looked good. I thought the subs looked really well. But the countermeasures, I agree with you, Paul. Let's go back to Kenneth. What's something else you don't like?
So I said earlier that I like the score. I do like the score. Okay, but I wrote this down in my notes as I was going along. I put in my dislike. It's like, wait a minute, what? I felt like some of the music was just out of place. Some of the Russian-sounding songs just came at the wrong time. So I'm just like,
really? Okay.
I can't remember exactly. All I know is like I wrote down my notes. Why is there music during the scuttling? It was just the different things that just like this didn't seem right. Okay, and that's what my dislike with the. I love the score, but there were things that just didn't seem correct in their placement.
Okay, all right.
No music during scuttling. We're in silent mode.
All right. Paul, what's something you don't like? Was it those poor music cues?
No, there were more effects I didn't like.
Oh, more. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So that whole scene when Sean Connery's talking to Alec Baldwin in the moonlight, that's not really them in the moonlight. It's just superimposed on a beautifully shot ocean and moonlight. That was beautiful. And then you have them like someone shining a blue light on their faces and superimposing it. Just took all the emotion and the heaviness out of that scene for me.
See, that was one of the things I did in my remembrances, Gabe. The tranquil of the sub sailing the American waterway with Sean Connery in the con tower with the moonlight. And I wrote down in my notes, I go, wait, Twilight Service running, not real. I thought it was a real shot. This is like fake with a con tower. I'm like, what ruined my memory of? It was a beautiful tranquil scene.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that, guys. I don't know what to say. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna
we're in the dislikes. Of course, you know what to say. There's nothing to hide.
I'm just gonna go to my next dislike, which is
all right.
What? And maybe I missed it, and maybe this is something that's explained in the book, and it's just like, we don't have time for this. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, Paul.
Isn't that better?
Why do they call the magneto drive thing the silent drive that the Red October has? Why do they call it caterpillar? That makes no sense to me. It like propels you at normal speed, or if not faster, silently. Why is that called a caterpillar? It should be called something else.
It probably has a lot of mechanisms, like 100 legs, like a centipede, like pushing it through, like all the way through the ship. So it's like a lot of legs going through. That's more technobabble that they didn't put it. They thought it wasn't important for the movie.
I mean, I suppose I didn't get it. I would have liked some just one-off line like that. Oh yeah. That's a magneto drive. Well, there's tons of moving parts in the middle of it, which is that's why it's called the caterpillar, because there's lots of moving parts.
The parts are made from caterpillars.
Oh my gosh!
A lot of moving parts. It's the whole point. It's supposed to be quiet.
Yeah, I know that. So it doesn't make sense in that way. So I call it something else.
This is the reason why. I'm sworn to secrecy, but this just don't tell anybody. It makes it go at super speed, right? Yeah. So much so that when you angle it up, it shoots out of the water and then it transforms into a butterfly, like a transformer.
Wow.
Did not see that one coming.
Nor I. All right, guys. Well, now it's time for our tragic makers. And since you stole mine, I'm going to go first. I think it was, Paul and you, Jonathan. That night for day is horrible at the end. Oh my gosh. You're supposed to end on a high note, people, not a horrible night for day effect. Come on. So
I just wish that they... I know actors are precious with their time and they can't be bothered at certain, but they took... Whoever went and got that beautiful shot of the water and everything, just have the actors out there with them, and that would have been great.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a missed opportunity for sure.
Definitely.
But that is my tragic maker. Let's go to Kenneth next.
It was my runner-up. I didn't have it on my top 3, okay? I just remembering my memory. Anyways, my tragic maker, so the 7 members of the Dallas crew come over to the Red October, minimal staff there, and Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin have to go back to get the cook, okay? And I'm sitting here going, the American crew knew how to work the sub without sinking it, and they all knew English.
Yeah.
Every single Russian who was speaking Russians, if they didn't know English, was now like listening to the Captain Mancuso's orders without problem.
Here's the thing, though. They were preparing to go to the States, so... Wouldn't they have studied English?
But why wouldn't that first guy, when he opens up the hatch, right? He starts talking in Russian. He goes, Americans. Then he starts talking in Russian.
That is weird, actually.
Come follow me. We go down here. I mean, even rudimentary English. He was talking the entire time in Russian, all the way through. And then at one point, then that guy talks, right? And then Al Baldwin speaks back, like that's when they broke so you speak Russian, okay? But they weren't speaking English to them until, so that's why I'm like, wait.
Yeah, that's weird. Good point. Good point. I second that tragic maker, Kevin. Paul, why don't you cap us off? What is the worst thing about this movie?
Okay. Do you remember when aboard the Red October at the beginning there was like this diplomat guy that Sean Connery smashes his neck against the table or whatever?
The political advisor, yes.
Yes. Then as they're taking the body out, he takes the key and he asks the doctor and the cook's assistant to witness him taking the key.
I think it was just the cook. That was the cook that went on to sabotage and stuff. Yeah, I don't think it was.
That's the thing. As a first watch, I didn't get that was actually watched again with commentary afterwards.
Yeah.
In which he said that guy is the guy at the end. That guy who witnessed it, I had no idea. Like, if you're gonna take for someone to be that integral of the story, you want to focus a little bit more. You want to come back to him a little bit more to show what the motivation is, maybe, rather than just like a fluke or whatever.
Yeah, it does. And
for such an important character, you'd think you'd spend just a little bit more time or flashback.
It was a slight setup to saying there were other KGB people on board the ship.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how you walk that line, Paul, because you don't want it to be revealed that that's who it is. I feel like they're almost setting up the engineer guy, the head of the engineering department, who's like,
okay, give him an eye patch, so at least I know it's the same guy. But again, he was the assistant to the cook, not the cook.
Here's the thing. How in the world does Alec Baldwin know it's the cook? What are you talking about? This is the first time on this ship.
He has a little name tag that says the cook.
Oh my gosh, Paul. That just everything about the cook. I get why they wanted to keep him a secret so that you're guessing you didn't know who it was. But yeah, I wish there was some nod to like something that you wouldn't pick up on your first viewing, but it's like by the end, it's like, oh, right, because he was slighted, or because that guy, was Ryan home, and I don't know, something that would telegraph it for people that have seen the movie. Anyway,
so that's the worst thing for me.
Yeah, that I totally get behind that as well. Oh my goodness, guys! So many dislikes, so many likes, so little time. But
we're not making it home, are we? There's no firing solution. We're not going home, are we? We're going to be stuck in 1990, not going back to 20XX.
No, sorry, we can't.
Not anytime soon.
Because someone sabotaged Alice. So I mean, what are we supposed to do until maybe she gets fixed? I don't know, Alice. Can you get us a firing solution, or did the cook sabotage you too? Oh, I guess she's fine.
Firing solution complete.
Oh, good.
At the ready. At the ready. On your mark.
Okay.
Personally, I give us 1 chance in 3.
Well, that's fantastic. How many chances do we give this movie, though? Chances being, how do we rate this film? Classic, we'd recommend anyone go out and see this film, Hunt for October, whether or not you've seen it before. Nostalgic, it's definitely worth a rewatch. It'd be a good use of your time to rewatch this film if you enjoyed it as a kid or young adult, because it lives up to your memories. Or a tragic. It's not worth anyone's time today. Don't sully your memories of that tranquil ending by rewatching it, or for whatever reason, it's not worth your time. And if you've never seen it before, go watch Run Silent, Run Deep, or one of the other movies we've mentioned. But let's go around and say what our final ratings are, starting with our guest, Ken.
Классический.
You hear that? Are we not?
Yeah.
No, I did.
barely heard it.
Classический.
Oh, what is that?
Classический. Oh, Russian for classic.
Oh,
okay.
If only I knew Russian, I knew what your rating would be. Jeez. You learn Spanish, you learn Russian. Jeez.
If you knew Russian, you could drive this submarine.
So classic. Yeah, still classic.
Classic.
Started with classic, ended with classic.
All right. Very cool. Paul, I'm very curious. This is your first time, and I was saying this a little bit to Paul pre-show that I don't know if this is his type of movie. From everything I know about Paul, this is one of those movies where it's like wild card, especially one hit he hasn't seen before. So yeah. I'm curious, Paul. What did you decide on?
Yeah. This movie, I didn't dislike it. I was my dislikes I was struggling to find, so they weren't that strong for me. So I really don't have anything against it. So I would rate it a classic. Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's not like a high classic. Like put this on your to see list. If the subject matter interests you, check it out.
Like if you're into submarine movies or things like that.
Yeah. Or if you like dramatic or whatever and you're running out of movies to watch, check it. I'd recommend it. So I keep it as classic.
Awesome. For me, I put this movie through its paces because I put it on at close to 9:00. I'm like, Yeah, I'll probably have to stop halfway through, or because I'm going to be falling asleep. And I did not want to stop watching. I was so, and I've seen it before, at least, and probably not a handful of times, but a few times before. I know everything that's going to happen. But I was just so into it. I really enjoyed it. I really liked all the aspects of it, except for the ones, of course, the dislikes we had. So I rate this a classic as well. I was surprised at how much I liked it still all this time since I first saw it when I was like 10 or something. So given all that, according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate The Hunt for Red October a unanimous, I can't believe it, a unanimous classic, or a Klaiowski. What was it kind of then?
Klaiowski. Yeah.
Klaiowski. Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying it right. Film. We'd recommend, if you've never seen it before, give it a chance. Watch it again if you remember liking it from your childhood. All right, but now Alice. Alice is fixed, guys. No worries, good. Because it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX.
I would have liked to have seen Montana.
Receiving incoming transmission.
Yeah, I hope
we get sad part.
That was like,
well,
no, he died.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, especially when he's talking about it to begin with. Because I know it's coming. I'm like, oh man, why?
I forgot.
Oh, you did? Oh man. Big feels. Feels good to be back, but wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1990 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors. Namely, Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, the Feeling Film Podcast, Peter Panda, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, Mrs. Lomax, James Kennison, Daryl Hafner, Kevin Joshua Burnham, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenberg, Pastor Dewson, and Kenneth N. Oh, you're right here. In addition to 6 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help keep us flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to see how, where now you can find links to subscribe on both Patreon and Subscribestar. And while we're talking about subscriptions, want to make this announcement. This is new. If you're like used to tuning out now, then okay. But pay attention because this is announcement time. In the month of August, we are introducing
2020.
Thank you. August 2020. We are introducing our sticker tier for supporting the show at $15 a month. You will not only get our bonus content, a show shout out, a vote in our final rating tiebreakers, and a chance to personally pick the movies we cover. But you will also get 1 sticker a month with show art for the movie or game we covered, and a bonus random sticker.
Wow. But wait, Francisco, isn't there more?
Why, yes, Paul. For August 2020, anyone who raises their current pledge by $5 or is a new patron at the $5 level will also get stickers every month for as long as they maintain their new level of support.
Whoa, that's a great announcement, Francisco. Are you done now?
Call now. Operators are standing by.
Standing by what? Anyway, while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big Russian hug where hugs you, I guess, and our subscribers on Twitch, where it's another way to send us a couple bucks a month. If you have Amazon Prime, you could subscribe for free. Find out how at retrorewindpodcast.com/Twitch Prime and follow Francisco's fabulous video.
Thank you, Paul. But hey, let's keep the gratitude train going now because we love hearing from you, be it our Apple Podcast reviews, comments on our website, or through our contact form. And here is what some of you had to say.
Tim sent us a quick note via our contact form saying, "Hi, great show. Are any of you on Letterboxd?"
Paul, are you? I respond back that we have the show Letterboxd, but I haven't updated in so long. It's so old, and I've sort of discontinued that. Yeah. Do you have a Letterboxd, Paul or Kennethan?
I do not. Kennethan, do you?
What's a Letterboxd?
It's like Goodreads, but for movies. Would that be how you describe it, Paul?
Sure. I was about to say it's kind of like Rotten Tomatoes almost, but it's individualized, where you can see everybody's ratings.
Okay.
For movies.
Yeah. And you can review them. Yeah. Letterboxd with no ED. It's just D at the end. let's see. Thank you, Paul. And also thank you, Tim, for writing us a note. Dog World left us a 4-star rating on Apple Podcasts saying, that story show sent me. Thumbs up.
Awesome. That was fun being on that. Yeah, that was fun being on their show. So check them out if you haven't yet. Mr. Death Dealer left us 5-star rating over on Podchaser with the review, quote, enjoy this podcast very much. It's a nice change of pace. I think that's a command. Enjoy it. So thank you.
You must enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for reaching out to us.
Totally.
Oh.
You mentioned trains. I had to.
Oh, that would have been perfect. I have to get that. But anyway, here, you can insert this.
A little revolution now and then is a healthy thing, don't you think?
Is it? RetroRewindPodcast.com/206 is the place to find timestamps for this episode, links to contact us, and links for voting on the movies you want us to review. But that's not the only place you can reach us. Paul, where else can people find the show and also yourself?
I'm PaulJPowers.com, and you can feel free to talk to us and share anything you like or find funny that is 15 years or older on our social media. We are Retro Rewind Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can join our Discord server by going to RetroRewindPodcast.com/Discord. Also, I've mentioned we are on Twitch. You can watch and chat with us live like these fine folks are doing right now, and you can interact with them and us, and you can follow us at twitch.tv/RetroRewindPod to watch us do this podcast, play retro video games, create pixel art, and much more. But if you want to find me, Paul J. Powers, go to pauljpowers.com.
Thank you, Paul, for being an awesome friend, awesome XO, awesome co-host of this show. Really appreciate getting to do this show with you every single time.
That's likewise, and I appreciate doing this show with you, Captain. And I'm also grateful for our guest coming on the show, taking time to discuss the hunt for Red October. Kenneth and Cummings, please tell us how we can find you online, and is there anything you'd like to promote?
First off, I guess apparently Paul legally changed his name to PaulJPowers.com, so
yes.
I am. Okay, he's an I am. So Kennethan is my tag name, Ken's my real name, but yeah. I do stream on Twitch on Kennethan. I also have a Twitter at Kennethan Live. I am also part of the God Mode Activated team. So jump on over to our Discord too and check us out. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow I also do several shows. So people like Hear Me Out with Super Shadow and Potato on Friday morning, but also on Saturday afternoons. I do a show with Sir Jazeel and Solomon about MMOs because we're also MMO players too. So yeah, find me, I'm around.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Ken, so much for being a part of the show.
But thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's so cool to have you on. But yeah, it was a pleasure having you on here, Ken. But as much as I enjoyed doing the show with Ken and Paul, that's not who I appreciate the most. I mostly appreciate you. Yes, you listening right now. Jack, Glenn, Ryan. Sam, Bart, Marco,
James Bond,
James. Whether this is your first time listening to the show or you're a part of our Rad Rewinder community, thanks for spending time with us, and we pray you're more joyful now than when you first hit play. I have been and continue to be Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXREtro, that's FX Retro, with an underscore at the end, and DM me there for pixel art commissions. I'm also trying to be more present and post more on Instagram, which is at FXRUIZX, my old handle. So check me out there as well.
Also,
this stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And finally, we are honored to be part of the Christian Geek Central network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
You can catch us at CGC or our website, but like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for our next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
And the sea will grant each man new hope, as sleep brings dreams of home. Christopher Columbus.
Whatever. Should have still wrote a memo.